Hey, good morning, everyone. You are all highly welcome to this very important webinar I'm excited about, building investment-ready startups. In the next 1.5 hours, we will learn a lot, from someone with very vast experience. I believe at the end of the day, we will understand what I mean. As today we will be talking about, after this warm welcome, and once again appreciating your time this Saturday morning, I will introduce TD, even though he doesn't need introduction, but it's my honor to once again introduce him again. And TD will take us through the PEOM framework. And he'll talk about Digi Collective. He'll talk more about distinction, the host of this webinar, and how you can get started, and of course, Q&A. So permit me to introduce myself before I jump in and introduce TD. My name is Faiz Bashir. I'm the CEO and co-founder of FlexiServe EduSoft Limited. FlexiServe is a leading knowledge and learning company that use technology to transform education. We've been into the edtech space for over a decade, working with thousands of schools, managing millions of students' records. And most recently, very, very excited about our new AI-powered teaching and learning platform, Distinction.app, which we are going to learn more about later. FlexServe is also, we've grown to over 100 staffs passionate about transforming education and currently expanding, internationally. And I'm honored to welcome Tomi Davies, TD. Like I said, he needs no introduction, but once again, TD is the collaborator-in-chief at TVC Labs, a technology business accelerator that has supported, hundreds of startups, tech-enabled ventures, across Africa and beyond. He is the founding president and now president emeritus of the African Business Angel Network, ABAN, through which he has helped establish more than 75 angel groups in 40 African countries, engaging over 3,000 investors. I call him the father of angel investment in Africa. TD is also the pioneer of he's the creator of the PEOM Framework, which you are going to learn more about today. A structured approach used globally to help founders and investors evaluate and scale startups effectively. If you are a founder like me, you know this is a very Herculean task. And fortunately, the PEOM framework unlocks the magic on how to make this successful, in a more systematic way. Beyond investment, TD has served as non-executive director to several high-growth companies, and continues to mentor founders through platforms such as RevUp Caribbean, last week in Lagos, and now the DG Collective. He is an author, he's the author of the Investment Worthy Startups, an ecosystem builder. His work continues to bridge continents, connect investors, and empower founders to build sustainable, impact-driven ventures. Please join me in welcoming Mr. Tomi Davies. You are welcome, sir.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Faiz. It's good to be here. For the audience, you're going to see me look up and down because I'm operating two screens. The one you're looking at and where my camera is. It's good to be here. What I want to do this morning is really see if I can share something I've spent decades developing, testing, and teaching, which is the PEOM framework. But to set the context, because every time I speak to beginners, I'm reminded of when I first started out, full of ideas, some great, some, well, not so great, but all of it full of energy. So today I want to talk about entrepreneurship in a way you may not have heard before. So not just about starting a business, but about building a venture that actually lasts. And that's why I'm going to share the PEOM framework with you because I believe it's something that'll help you do that. Can I share screen, Faiz?
Yes.
Okay, so the PEOM framework stands for proposition, organization, economics, and milestones. But before we even get to that, all right, we have to start with the most unpredictable part of the business, of any business. And what's that? Well, it's you, the founder. Okay? The vision, knowing yourself. Every venture begins not with an idea, but with a person. Someone who sees tomorrow a little differently and decides to do something about it. Before you write a business plan or design a logo, you have to answer, who am I? What do I believe in? Why does this matter to me? If your vision isn't clear, everything else is going to wobble. Because you see, your vision is your compass. Let me tell you a story. A few years ago, a young man, he came to me, amazing, brilliant tech idea. He wanted to digitize agricultural, cultural supply chains. Nice prototype, clever algorithms. But when I asked him, why do you care about farming? He says, well, there's funding in agri-tech. That's not a why. That's a hustle. 6 months later, he came back. This time, well, TD, I spent time in farmers in Ogun State. Kai, the waste, the frustration, the price gaps. That's when his why became real. And once it did, People like me started taking him seriously. So you see, your vision isn't a marketing line, it's your anchor when everything else goes wrong. So that's the beginning. Without it, you don't have anything. But if you have that with clarity, now let's talk. Okay? The first pillar of the PEOM framework is your proposition. Your proposition, that's your product or service to your customers and your market. Every good venture has a clear answer to one question. What problem are you solving? And for who? You can't serve everybody. It's impossible. Pick a lane, own it, learn from it, and then grow from there. Here's how I like to frame it. You help someone achieve something by doing something differently. Do you get it? You help someone, they achieve something by doing something differently. That's innovation at work. If you can fill in that sentence, then you're halfway there. Let me give you an example which I've put up here. Flutterwave started by helping African businesses accept online payments easily. That's it. Parisha, no grammar. That's it. They didn't start out to revolutionize fintech in Africa. They solved one painful problem extremely well, then they grew. You don't need to start with a big bang. You need to start with clarity. So, once you've got that clarity of proposition, now go deliver. Who's going to deliver it? And that's where the organization pillar of POEM comes in. The organization, I say organize, it's not just your team. Your organization, that's the machine. Those are the people, the processes, and the technology that actually creates the value that makes your promise real. See, too many founders think, oh, hiring smart people is going to fix everything. It won't. You can hire the best developer, but if your process is chaos, you're just going to burn money and energy. Best way to do it is think of your organization as a football team. And you, the founder, you're a coach. You're not the striker. You set strategy, you assign roles, and you keep the system moving. Oh, by the way, remember, technology, it doesn't make bad processes good. It just makes it faster. So get your processes right first, then automate. That is what distinguishes a startup that runs from one that just exists. As an investor, and you should too as a founder, okay, understand that the lifeblood of your venture is the economics, which is the third pillar of the POEM framework. And this is where dreams meet reality. Every business runs on capital. How you get it? how you spend it, and how you turn it into value. It's not enough to say, oh, we'll make money. How? When? What does one customer cost you? What's your margin? I see too many founders chasing investors before they understand their own numbers. That's like asking someone to trust you with their car when you don't even have a driver's license. The smartest entrepreneurs learn to manage capital the way engineers manage energy: efficiently, creatively, and sustainably. Because, you see, the real trick, profit and impact are not enemies. If your business solves a real problem for people, you can make money and change lives. So, you see, for me, the question is not how big can I get? As those who know me have said, it's how deeply can we serve? And in service, it's a lifetime. So it's a journey that must be measured in time. So your progress over time are your milestones, which is the final pillar of the POEM framework. It's your timeline of achievement, the proof that you're learning, that you're growing, and executing. From registered company to landing your first customer to securing your first funding, every step counts. And by the way, this is not about moving fast, it's about moving forward. Investors don't just back ideas, they back momentum. If you show consistent progress over time, even small wins, you'll attract believers. So, track your journey, celebrate the little things. They're the signals that you're building something real. So, before I close, I want to talk about distinction because I believe distinction is the platform that brings all of this together. It's the course making app developed by the great guys who gave you FlexiSurf, amazingly brilliant young team. And it's built exactly for this reason. It's to help you learn in this particular case, the POEM framework. It's to learn frameworks like POEM, but more importantly, it's making sure that it's practical and accessible. You can use distinction to create your own courses, document your own entrepreneurial journey, and share what you learn with others. Think of it as your digital classroom and your portfolio in one place. Because you see, knowledge locked in your head doesn't change the world. Knowledge applied, that does. As I'm doing today to you, the beauty of distinction is that it allows learning to be local, by us, for us, and at the same time, global, accessible to anyone, anywhere. So, to bring it all together, your vision defines your purpose. Your proposition, that's where you create value. Your organization delivers the value. Your economics ensures it's sustainable. And by and large, your milestones, well, they prove it. So, if you've been listening, that's how you move from idea to investment worthy startup. Every venture you admire, from MoneyPoint to Andela, they follow these fundamental principles, whether they realize it or not. So, let me see if I can bring it home. Nigeria's future doesn't depend on oil or aid, politics. It depends on young people who can turn ideas into business ventures that work. I've seen founders like Faiz build great things with far less than some of you have right now. The real question is, will you take what you've learned today and act on it? Don't wait for perfect conditions. Start where you are with what you have and apply the discipline of POEM. And when you fail, because there's no real founder I know that doesn't fail somewhere along the line, treat that failure as tuition, not tragedy. You see, your generation has an advantage. You have the tools, you have the knowledge, and now you have the global reach to change this continent's story. What we now need are founders who are both wise and brave. So, as I leave, let me leave you with this thought. May your ideas be grounded in purpose, your ventures built with integrity, and your journey marked by milestones worth celebrating. Remember, a business without a vision is like a ship without a compass. But a vision without execution, well, that's just a dream. Let the PEOM framework be your map, and let distinction be your classroom. Now, go build something that's really, really investment worthy. Thank you for listening. My name's Tomi Davies, and you can call me TD.
Thank you very much, sir, for this powerful, introduction to the PEOM framework. I'm a living testimony to how the PEOM framework has really enabled FlexiSurf. And, I think this is going to be probably another podcast for another day, but many of you might not know that I first, I met TD, since 2017, not in Abuja or Lagos or Nigeria, but somewhere, around the world in Istanbul. And immediately I reached out and started the conversation. His passion on startups, education, and so on is just so contagious. And that's how we got started. And like he
Can you
really
see what
pointed
I'm
out,
sharing? Can you see the screen?
okay, yes,
That's you. That's me. I'm just validating the story you just told.
yeah,
Please
can
continue.
you, yeah, so I recall when I said FlexiServe, for me, the vision was natural, even though I didn't know about PEOM framework then. I didn't sit down to articulate what the vision and so on, but it's really clear, and it was the driving force for me later on when I started learning about poem and how important the vision was. I just felt very lucky, fortunate to have a very strong vision from day one. So if I had known Poem Framework, I believe we would have moved maybe twice as fast as we did. And that's the opportunity you guys have today. That's the opportunity I think the Poem Framework brings to the table. And now I've seen a number of frameworks which, they are all trying to solve the same challenge. What I like about poem is the simplicity, and the clarity. And you'll talk more about how to, of course, because this is a short webinar, it's just an intro, but we'll talk more about how you learn more about the poem framework and how you'll be able to, to tap in from TD's knowledge more. So let me just share my screen yeah, so sorry. So that's the introduction to the poem framework. Like I said, we'll talk more about how you get started more on the course, on the distinction platform, and so on. But before we do that, sir, permit me.
You want me to talk about the DG Collective?
Yes.
Oh, okay. Wow. All right. Let me see. If you allow me to share screen, then I'm just going to whistle through this very quickly so that um, DG Collective, we help startup founders achieve funding, okay, by getting them investor ready through a mentor-driven, AI-supported due diligence process, and that's built around the digital data room because that's what's important to international investors. And the way we do that is through hybrid online and offline. You just heard about distinction, for example, is to ensure that we're guiding them to build international standard digital data rooms. And for that, you go through what we call a verification process. And it's not just talk, it's about validating the documentation and the progress report. So there's a time element that most don't understand. That's why it takes VCs 6 months to a year to decide on investment. So you get used to the fact that that is how the pace at which funding works. So that's what we're developing in DG Collective. And surprise, surprise, we're using the POEM framework as the foundation in it. And really, what for me is the exciting part, which is sort of starting next year, is the engaging of the diaspora investors, which we're doing in a structured way that nobody's done before. I've seen a gap, and I'm not, rather than talk about it, I'm just going to show people what we could have done. And we didn't, just like 10 years ago when we were talking about we can have local funding, and people looked as if, what's this guy talking about local funding? You know, Nigerians don't have money to invest in startups. I beg, please go away. What's happening today? Today, as I speak to you, we're holding the African Business Angel Network Congress in Lagos, Nigeria, celebrating the 10th anniversary. You can go look up ABAN. Next phase, let's get the diaspora involved. How are we going to do that? DG Collective. Thank you very much for listening. I trust that helps.
Yeah, thank you.
By the way, if you want to join us, there you go. Just scan that code. The QR code there will take you straight in. I see you at the Q&A on Wednesday.
Thank you, TD, for that. Okay. So next, before we go to Q&A, I believe many of you have lots of questions. Anytime we talk about startups, investment, impact, founders usually are very excited and have a lot they want to share or learn. But before we go into the Q&A, you like to talk about distinction, the very platform that is powering, the POEM framework course, which you can all get started to even learn more about the POEM framework. So Distinction is an AI-powered teaching, and learning platform that empowers creators to turn any syllabus into a full course, including notes, videos, flashcards, and quizzes in minutes. And it gives every lecturer and student an AI agent that empowers their teaching and personalizes the students' learning journey. So yeah, and it has been very, exciting. So I will just give us play this 1-minute video to show us distinction in action.
Still juggling PDFs, links, slides, and scattered quiz tools just to deliver one course? With Distinction, creating a complete course takes just minutes. Your content comes to life with articles, videos, flashcards, and quizzes built for better engagement. Share it with a link, no extra steps. Learners enroll and start immediately. Already use a module or Blackboard? Distinction supports SCORM and integrates seamlessly with your LMS. Whether you're a tutor, lecturer, or institution, create, share, and teach smarter. Start creating now at distinction.app/courses. Distinction Courses, made for creators, loved by learners.
Thank you. So that was distinction in 1 minute. And as you are all aware, distinction is AI is changing everything. AI is really the future. Like Bill Gates put it, you know, the AI is as revolutionary as the PC, the internet, the mobile. And most recently, many people believe that it's even much bigger and it's moving at a at the speed of light. And that's why it's important thing for founders to really understand the impact of AI, the opportunity, and embrace it as early as possible. For us at FlexSelf, it's really about, you know, making knowledge more accessible, empowering lifelong learners who unlock their full potential. And that's what distinction is all about. Just yesterday we were uh, discussing and we said, wow, distinction is really a coursepedia. You can think of any course and you have it on distinction. And if you go to distinction.app, we already have, a library of courses that you can learn. We've started with for our students here in Nigeria, the National Universities Commission curriculum, the NBT and NCC. We have thousands of courses already. We have hundreds of courses in other very important soft skills, including effective communication, and so on. So you can start learning on Distinction platform. But most importantly, if you are a creator, you can also create your own course, just as you've seen in the video. You just need to type the name of your course and it builds it in minutes. It gives you all the other editing features to customize your course the way you want it, add your videos and so on. So everything is AI first. It simplifies editing for you using AI. We are integrating a complete video creation tool, that will help you even build your own videos with your avatar and voiceover, advanced imagery. And like I mentioned, agents, is the future. Agents will do 80% of the work for you, and all you need is to confirm and get going. And of course, we are making Distinction a platform where you can earn, with your expertise. Turn your expertise into a course, get learners, and make money. So to going back to the POEM framework, like I said, we already have a course on the POEM. We have series of courses. This is the foundational course on the POEM we have for level 1, 2, and 3 that will take founders, step by step on how to be really investment ready and delivered by TD himself. So you can scan the QR code on the screen to enroll to the foundational course on the POEM framework. So this is live on Distinction. Yeah, Usman will share this QR code and the link on the chat. You can click and get enrolled. Yeah, I think that's
Okay,
about,
can I just
yes,
first and foremost, can you all thank Faiz for me? Yeah, that's it. Yeah. I mean, these guys are doing a cracking job. Um, and if you don't know what a serial entrepreneur is, go look it up. Okay? Because that's what he is. And that's why I'm backing him to the hill. I don't do this uh, for just anybody, but What he's doing, I fully 100% believe in, along with the team, because he's not alone. Okay. There isn't an I in team, it's TEAM. Now, on the poem framework, let me break it down so everybody understands it this way. Okay. Look at it from the startup journey. What's the startup journey? You start at the beginning getting money from your family and your friends to build your minimum viable product and get your first customers. Once you've done that, you come to people like me and say, TD, I have some customers. We've had revenue for, it's going to nearly a year now, but we need money to get more customers and, hire some more people. That's angel investment funding. Okay. We call that level 2. Level 1, your family and friends. If they don't put money, why should I? They don't have money. No, they have at least a little to show that you're trustworthy enough for other people to give you money. So that's why it starts at level 1 with family and friends. Very important. Do not ignore it if you're going to go on this journey. Then you get to level 2, you get money from angels. There are different grades and different, but as long as it's in angels, whether they're individual, syndicate, it's okay. Level 3, which is now we're talking seed, you get money from venture capital. What's the difference between the two? Angels, not their money, is their own money that they're investing. Venture capital, they collect money from people like us, aggregate it into large sums so that they can invest. So that's level 3. There are subsequent levels, but level 3 goes all the way to Series A. So that's why we say, well, once you don't reach that stage, you're past us anyway. But beyond that, there's also private equity. And private equity is even bigger checks. And that's where institutions and all of that kick in. Family offices are starting to come downstream. So it's the funding map is dynamic, but that's the journey. If you're a startup, that is. And what's a startup? That means you've got millions of customers waiting. Okay. They may not know they're going to be your customers, but they're there, proven, and you're growing very, very fast. You started small and you're scaling very, very quickly. The example I use today is Omni Retail that started in 2019. Okay. And this year, they're already at Series A. They raised $25 million. So you can imagine that journey. They've moved relatively fast. You can see that revenue now is over $150,000 per month. And that's what we're talking about when we talk about startups. So I trust that helps and it puts it in context. On the other hand, we have SMEs. Poem fits them too, as my wife keeps telling me. She owns 2 SMEs that have done amazingly well. One's over 20 years old, the other one's about 15 years old. And they've been profitable for the last decade. So they're making money, they're not scaling, but they're making steady money and they're returning dividends to the investors. So there are 2 different types. Steady Eddie, microfinance bank to commercial bank, startups, angel investors to VCs. I trust that helps.
Yeah, thank you for that update, TD. And I think now we have come to the Q&A section. And please raise, if you want to ask question, just indicate and we'll unmute so that you proceed. Okay. And Usman, can you come in? If there are questions on the chat too, Usman is going to read them out for us.
All right.
Okay, I see Fire Williams.
Good morning, TD. Good morning, Faiz. I just wanted to say how much I've enjoyed this, particularly because it is always so simple and I can listen to it again and again. Thank you, TD. My question is to ask, do you have some kind of standard list of contents for the data rooms? Because
Yeah.
we are talking about, investment worthy startups, and like you said, this could extend to SMEs. So, what are those basic things that we need to get them to work on?
To a document level, we do, and that's why the
Okay.
course exists. And
Okay.
so what is required for a family and friends data room is different to what's required for an angel data room, and that's different to what's required for a VC data room. So it depends on which investor you're talking to. That determines the information they're going to use for due diligence. So, for example, without 3 years audited accounts, most VCs won't bother talking to you. Without a bank account and an incorporation, an angel won't talk to you. Family and friends will, because they're going to help get you on that journey. So it's about understanding the journey and then what's appropriate in terms of information required for the person committed the funds at that point in time. I focus on angel, okay, because it's the hardest nut to crack. That's the toughest. First, outside funding is the toughest challenge founders on the continent have, and that's the one I'm trying to crack using both local and diaspora investors. I trust that helps.
Yes, it does. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Yes.
Good morning, TD. I'll start by saying it's a very honor and privilege. I think you might not remember back in 2019, I had the opportunity of doing a virtual session with you, facilitated by Dr. Amina Sambuda, where you advised us to study the lean startup. And it has been extremely helpful. I've been able to do so many good things by just understanding the lean startup back then. And also, big thanks to Mr. Faiz, who I also happened to have met back in 2023 and mentorship. So this is very good and apt at the right time, at the right moment. I just have kind of question or commentary. Um, the terrain of African founders sometimes can be a bit different. A lot of the knowledge we have about startups, precisely in Nigeria, a lot of it are imported knowledge. That does not mean they don't work. They work, but sometimes they need fine tuning to our African reality or Nigerian reality. And to be specific, I would focus on, a bit about a startup I'm currently working on. We're building a startup around mobility and we are focusing on light assets. So it's more of like not owning the assets. But to really build a startup around logistics or transport, sometimes you have to understand the transport industry. And I don't think it's possible, or I'm not saying, I'm just saying based on my own knowledge, I think it's better to understand startup when you play in the industry. When you want to disrupt that industry, you need to understand the basic, which means at a certain point, you have to own, it's good for the stabilization of your operation and for your learning journey to have assets that power the business. It's a light asset because it's a platform that simply connects, transport providers and passengers. However, the if you don't have an backable asset, the and at the early stage of the market, you have customers fragmented coming in one and twos, and then you have travel providers that would not be able to make those trips or provide that service because it focus on interstate, unless you have, let's say, full four customers at the same time. So because of that, we decided to get into some assets. We bought some vehicles to prove the concept, and to make sure that the operation is there for us to understand the market enough to disrupt. However, very recently, I was speaking to an investor in Lagos, and they completely rubbish that idea that say, oh no, we don't need an asset back something. And I think because of that, they were not interested to keep going forward with the conversation. So I'm just trying to put it out there and get what's your thought on that.
Thank you.
Any thoughts? I think he wants to know if there's any advice around this.
As I said in chat, I didn't hear what he was saying. I couldn't make out. So I didn't understand anything that was said.
Okay, I think he
If
was.
you can summarize,
Okay,
that would be
the
nice.
question is around how
Okay.
do the
Can you hear me now better?
Yeah, let me summarize
Okay.
it so that we save time. How there's a lot of knowledge about startups which is foreign, but when you are building locally, sometimes you need to localize. And
That's why I exist. That's my whole, me. I'm a Yaba area father. If you are looking for me, number 17 Chapel Street. Okay. That is in Sabo Yaba. Are you with me? Go and ask. I was chairman. Is this year I turned 70. I stepped down as chairman of CC Hub. If you don't know TVC Labs, you go know CC Hub, Abi. That too, na me. I could go on and on. All right. So I'm the super strikers man. All right. And most of you grew up here reading my comic. So I would like to believe that I'm as local as they get. And if you go look, that is why I advocate local investors. And I created the network first. Like I told you, we now have 70 local networks in Africa, but we don't have enough money to fund the demand for founders. For the last 5 years, you can look it up. Every year, twice a year, I've run an investment program. I'm in the middle of number 10, in Mentor Pitch 10 now. We're just about to finish it. Okay, where I'll invest the second set for this year. But it's not enough. We need hundreds of me. And they don't exist on the continent. So let's go to diaspora and bring, if I invest, then diaspora multiplies it. Then maybe we'll get somewhere. And that's where I'm going. That's my vision. And that's what I believe everybody get your vision and let's move. So in answer to your question, it's about think global, act local. I trust that helps.
yes, sir. I think he gave an example around logistics, which is the startup is working on, and I know you have experience with Sharp and the rest. So he's saying,
Logistics. Yeah, Sharp is in my portfolio. You can look them up. They're alive and well, and they're like every other startup in the country having the challenges. But again, as we start to move to electric cars, and in fact, one of my startups is doing solar powered cars now. Okay. It'll ease up because people will start to understand you don't have to own a car to be in a car and move around. And that's, democratizing transportation that way is one of the things I believe in. I trust that helps.
So
yeah.
let me just run the
Sorry,
question in
can
30
we
seconds.
let's take more questions. I think we can connect later on to take this further. Yeah, Tijani.
Okay, thank you very much, Mr. Faiz, and thank you very much for this wonderful presentation. However, please, we are lately joined. We joined the program lately. We will be glad if the presenter also or Faiz would make the video available for us to also look and also make some comments if that is possible, please. So, Mr. Faiz, that one is a request towards your end, please. Thank you very much for the presentation, and we are glad to have you guys on board. Thank you so much.
Yeah, it will be available. Udo Kama.
Okay, hello everyone. Good morning. Thank you so much, Mr. Faiz and Tomi, for this presentation. Please, can you hear me okay?
Yeah.
Okay, great. So my name is Udo, and I run a USS Defense agricultural company. What we do is we have a bundled solution that provides crop insurance, a marketplace, and carbon credits for Nigerian farmers and extending to other parts of Africa. And I was just, I mean, this is the first time that obviously I was getting acquainted with the PEOM framework, and I'm really excited to also take further courses on this. But I see firsthand how like we can apply it to a company. But my question, I have two, and just really brief questions. So the first one is, Mr. Tomi, if we eventually or hypothetically have you on our advisory board, which of the PEOM framework or which of the elements of the PEOM framework would you advise that we, I guess, strengthen first? And then the second question is around what are those most overlooked signals that indicates that a venture is ready for structured funding?
Okay. Help me understand. Ready for structured funding, I understand. The first question.
Yes, so the first question is, I mean, using the PEOM framework, if we hypothetically have you on our advisory board, which of the elements of the PEOM framework would you advise that we strengthen first?
Okay. I do advisory. I'm $500, okay, an hour. And there's a process to that. It's a three-step process before you can determine. There are 12 determinant areas, from market entry all the way through to capital funding, etc. But you start with the future state. Where are you trying to be 5 years from now? That's the first question you need to answer. And you go through PEOM to answer that. What will your proposition be like? What will your organization be like? What will your economics be like? And what will your milestones be like 5 years from now? Then you come back to today. Where are you today? What's your proposition, organization, economics, milestones? And then based on those two, what's the gap? And there's your roadmap. Are you with me?
Yes, please.
Okay. And that determines where the priorities are. But without doing that work, you can't say, oh, this is where you need help, or this is just there's a process. Yeah. So just remember future state, current state, map.
Thank you.
All right.
That's helpful.
Well, that's the first question. Second question was.
Okay, so the second question.
By the way, sorry. By the way, I make no apologies for taking time with this young lady. Okay, it's called SDG 5. You can look what SDG 5 is. Please continue.
Thank you so much for that. Okay, so the second question is, what is the most overlooked signals that indicates that a venture is ready for structured funding, especially even under the PEOM framework?
Well, on that one, it depends on what you mean by ready for funding. Okay, for first outside check, which if you're going by the book, all right, and remember the 80-20 rule. This will apply to 80% of startups, 20% will not follow what I'm about to say. Okay? But if you look at normal, what happens is you get your family and all of that to give you money, you build the MVP, you start proving that customers exist. By the time you are 6 months of customer and you are seeing growth, most sensible angels will want to talk to you. By the time you're 12 months, revenue, and you have what we call month-on-month growth. I can see month-on-month growth rate, and it's increasing. That's a story any investor understands. I trust that helps.
Yes, yes, that works. So even outside of profitability, just continuous revenue growth.
Profitability comes later.
Okay.
All right. If you are really in high growth.
Okay. Okay. Thank you so much, sir.
Cheers.
Thank you. Okay, we have Yahya.
All right. Thank you, and good afternoon from here. I hope we can all hear me.
Yeah.
My name is Yahya Yusuf, and I'm a software engineer. And I would like to thank Mr. Faiz and FlexiServe and Mr. Tomi Davies for this wonderful session. I have two questions quickly. Before that, I would also like to thank Mr. Tomi Davies for being an advocate for the SDG 5. I'm also a local advocate at a local capacity. Thank you very much for that. My first question is that what do you think about the idea? You did mention about startup with the funding coming from family, angel investor, and then going to all those trajectory for the funding, and then for SME, you can get from microfinance. So what's your idea? Do you think you can start from an SME and then maybe later grow to become a startup, or maybe get all those kind of funding that a startup will probably get? You think that trajectory is something that is possible? Then secondly, my second question is that I am thinking of a business, it's still an idea, is in the area of providing tracking, GPS tracking for all kind of vehicles, from bikes to cars. I already spoken this to family members, and I was lucky enough to even have people who are willing to pay for this idea, even though it's just an idea. So it's just like we have a customer already before we even have the solution. So what do you think about this kind of solution? Do you think it's something that is viable? Is it something that can really go big? Thank you very much.
Okay. I'll answer the second question first because you might have to repeat the first one. It's about viability. There's actually a process, including A/B tests, and there's a whole mechanism of engagement that you test to test whether you know, what you're talking about is really viable. Um, and that boils down to, first of all, breaking down your problem statement to see if people really have that problem, and then working through to your solution as to whether the solution then solves it in a way that is commercially feasible. So that's the method that you would use to validate. I trust that helps.
Yes, that does.
Oh,
So for the first question, what I was asking is that the idea of you starting a business as a SME, and then is
oh
it possible
yes.
that this idea can then grow to become a startup and
Any,
then
anything,
get
anything
access
is
to?
anything is possible. Anything is possible. Okay.
All right.
There's a company called Nokia. I don't know if you've ever heard of them.
No, I haven't.
Yeah, there you go. Look them up.
Am I going?
Look them up. Nokia, and you'll see how many transformations they've gone through. So anything is possible.
Yeah. Thank you, sir.
Cheers.
We have things, Sandra. This will be the last.
Lady Green, over to you.
Good morning. Good morning. I'm Sandra Green. I'm a co-founder of Royal Bird Studios and Comics. So my question, the first question I had was actually answered. Someone else asked that question, so I'll just move on to the next. You were talking about different stages of investments, and you talked about the first stage being your friends and your family, and the second stage being angel investors. Like, yeah, if your friends and family can't, if they don't believe in you, why should I? Speaking from the angel investor point of view. But there are different kinds of ideas. Let me use ideas before startups. For ideas, there are big ideas, there are small ideas. So for my question is still boiling down to, if you have, I don't want to say everyone is a serial entrepreneur, but if you have so many ideas and you're scaling them down, and you have the big ideas and the small ideas, and your funds can only, let me say, the one you got from your friends and family can only cover the one for the small ideas, do you just let go of the big ideas, or you just, I don't know how to, that's my question. How do you go about navigating all of that?
You think big, you start small, and then you scale fast. What did I say?
You think big, start small, and scale fast.
That's how you do it.
Thank you very much. That sums it up.
Hey, thank you. So you can take one more, Oluwasegun.
Yeah, good afternoon. First, thank you so much, Mr. Tomi Davies. I had the privilege to work with a startup some years back that you also sat on the advisory board. I don't know if you could remember Kasuku Communication. All right. So my question is, I have two questions, and I think the last guy, Yaya, is in line with what I'm doing currently. I run a telematics business. I don't have the devices, but I partner with a supplier, and my not even family and friends, my word of the mouth, I've been able to make some sales. The numbers, so revenue I got, not really big. I use it in running ads, but I'm not able to scale. But people come to me, they subscribe for my services. At the moment, I have about 20 customers, paying customers, but I'm not able to really scale. It's not commercially viable for me. And in the same light, I began to do some other activities that made me start getting demand for vehicles to be rented by diasporas that come to town, because I work with a religious organization where I serve. Nigerians in diaspora always come, and they always require a protocoling activity. So the telematics idea gave me an insight that I can lease vehicles, I can get vehicles from friends, but I've not been able to achieve that. So my question is, how can I really grow this telematics business outside my capacity?
Well, unfortunately, in my opinion, you're starting from the wrong place. It's, like the person that went to Abuja, and asked somebody in Abuja, please, how do I get to Obalende? You really
Okay.
shouldn't you really shouldn't start from there. What you need to start with is, what's the problem you're solving and for who? As I said earlier, that's the beginning point. It's not about telematics or, grammatatics. Who has a problem that you're solving? Because that's where the money is. Are you with me?
Yes, sir.
Functional, I said this, well, I can't remember how long ago. Now AI is coming to prove it. Okay? Functional services that can be automated, they will be automated in time. But value-added services of humankind, bring AI, bring anything else. You just use it to help other human beings. Because you see, that's the bottom line of value creation. If that value isn't helping other humans, they blow grammar. It's okay, it's nice. But if it is, it will last. It will be sustainable. And that's why you always start there. Who has the problem and what is it? I trust that helps.
Yes, it does, sir. Thank you.
On this note, I would like to extend our sincere appreciation to TD for making our time this morning and unpacking, the PEOM framework. Very interesting discussions and questions. As you can all see, there's always the passion and energy when it comes to, African founders. And we believe, with this journey, we'll unlock, a lot of things and impact across the continent. And for all of you that have also made out time this morning to join us, we thank you all and we look forward to discussing further across various channels. Thank you and bye.
Cheers. Bye, everybody.
Bye.
Bye.